Hello YouTube. What's new? Besides my minor cough. Well, what's new with me? I did a little bit of studying on Friday and then I took this weekend off. Oh, I should introduce myself. I don't even know if I've done that in any of the past videos. My name is Lauren Pfeiffer and I'm the girl that failed the bar exam and is now going to tell the world about retaking it. Yay! So what's new with me? Let's rewind, go back to what I was first saying, because editing isn't a thing here, by the way, just in case you were wondering. So I did a little bit of studying on Friday. I went over some flashcards of some of my more problem subjects, and then I did a few multiple choice questions just to get my mind thinking in that sort of way, and then I took the weekend off, and then I really start studying tomorrow, which is when daily vlogs are gonna kind of happen. They're probably gonna happen in my car, so who knows what kind of quality you're gonna get there. But that's when I really start studying. That's when I actually do the online classes and actually delve and dive into the material. So that's kind of what's been going on with me. But today's video is not going to really be about that. This is going to be a part 2 to the very first video I posted, which is the I failed the bar exam video. So this is what law school doesn't prepare you for, part 2, and that part 2 is just failure inside of law school. So there will be a part 3, but it'll be more about stuff you're not prepared for going into law school. So this one is like what you're not prepared for during law school, and what law school doesn't prepare you for while you're in the midst of law school. So the first thing law school doesn't prepare you for is that if you're not in the top of the class, you don't get treated the same. So what this means is there are going to be some students who have a type of scholarship. I don't know what it will be called at your school. I don't even know what it was called at my school, because not only was I not eligible to apply for it, because I wasn't smart enough, but I just didn't even know about it because it wasn't really advertised. So this scholarship or whatever, these students are students that have to keep their scholarship. This is a purely academic based scholarship. So what the school does is they will provide everything they can to allow these students to continue to succeed. And that's great, but it's also so unfair, because I went into law school thinking we're all on the same playing ground. We all have access to the same outlines, because at my school they gave us an outline bank that they then took away, which is a whole different issue. But I thought we were all on even playing field. Little did I know we weren't. And law school doesn't prepare you for that. You're not on equal playing fields. The second you're accepted, you are not on an equal playing field with anybody else. Another thing law school doesn't prepare you for is if you don't do well. I'm going to be honest. I nearly failed out of law school. I did not do well my first year at all, which if you don't, you're kind of screwed in the job market. Whether or not you get an internship is kind of based on your grades, especially as a 1L, because that's all that jobs have to go offer. Now I'm going to say this. If you go into a public sector job, so something like anything nonprofit or DA's offices or city attorney's offices, you're more likely to get a job there if your grades are lower than anywhere else. And that's just the reality of it. Big law firms, if your school is focused on big law, like majority of them are, because that's where all the money is, and that's where schools get their sponsorships, and that's where schools look to get the best ratings and stuff. They require good grades, and if you don't have those, you're kind of screwed, because typically if your school isn't trial based, if it's just a general law school, Baylor in Texas is a trial-based law school. Like, they prepare you for litigation. Then you're kind of screwed, and law school doesn't prepare you for that. Law school doesn't prepare you for failure at all, because all the advice you are given is to help you succeed. And then when you don't succeed, they don't really know how to handle that. I'm very grateful that our dean of students was really personable and really just like allowed you to just like kind of vent and then help you as he could. But if you don't do well, there's not much they can do. If you fail, I didn't actually fail any of my classes, but I came very, very close. It was that legal writing class. That's news. It's not really. Everybody knows I did. Like, everybody I went to law school with knows I didn't do well in legal writing. But if you don't do well or you fail, God forbid, they don't know what to do with that, because they only expect people to succeed. But the thing is, the way law school is created and made, it is not made for everybody to succeed. That is the point of the bell curve. You have the people setting the curve, you have the people in the bell, and you have the people outside of the bell. And for most people, the bell, like for my school, our bell curve was set with like a B as the top of the bell, which is where the most of the people get their grades, right? So you have your bell curve, your B's. For most people in law school, their first B ever will be in law school, and that will seem like a huge failure until you get someone like me who did not do that well. And law school, by far, my worst grades of my whole life. Like, I felt so stupid every single year of law school because I did all the advice that I was given. I outlined, I studied, I started studying early. I did everything that was suggested to me. I saw my professors. I had so many meetings with my professors and so many meetings with mentors. I even got a tutor, guys. I got a tutor for contracts because I was so bad at it. And he did help me. So my tutor, you're awesome. But I was so bad that they don't know what to do. Like, when you go in asking for help for a subject that isn't a 1L subject, because 1L subjects, they can offer you so much help. Anything that's not a 1L subject, you're kind of on your own if you don't do well in it. And that's really sad. Like, they can't even offer you a tutor. I was offered a tutor because the subject I was having trouble with was contracts. That's a 1L subject. And the way that most law schools do their splitting of 1L courses is all of contracts is in one semester and you have a new class the next semester. I was lucky that my year they split most of our classes into 2 semester classes, but that's not always going to be the case. You have one chance to do well in a class usually. And it's just really hard because they don't know what to do when you don't do well. It's like they expect you to do good, but the way that the law school grading system is made is so some people don't do well, and they don't know what to do when those people want to do well, because they have to support the people that are doing good, because those people are the ones that are getting the big jobs, that are trying to keep their scholarships that they have, and it's a mess. So yeah, law school doesn't prepare you for failure at all, because here's the thing. Everybody in law school is smart. We all got to law school. For me, I've always been on, like, if we're gonna go on a smart scale, so all my friends in high school are super smart. Like, they are the smartest girls I know. They were literally the smartest girls in school. And I was always on the low end of them. So I, like, have always felt insignificant in terms of, like, my smartness. College, I did really well because I went to a really good school. So, like, I felt pretty smart in college because I got mostly A's. The one time I got a C was in algebra, and I don't do math. Go figure. I'm trying to be a lawyer. And the other grades were issues. And I got mostly A's in college. So, like, I felt smart in college, but then I go into law school And one of the first conversations I hear someone having is like literally bringing up Kant in just like the most conversational tone. And I'm like, I barely remember all the main sociologists' names, let alone what all they studied. And I was a sociology major who had a thesis. So to hear that, I was like, I'm the stupid one. And it turns out I kind of am, because I nearly failed out of law school. And I wasn't prepared for that, because no one knows what to do when you're not as smart as everybody else in law school. They don't know what to do with you. You ask questions, and I would ask questions to my academic success mentors, and they were so smart. But I asked questions to them, and sometimes they would look at me like, be like, I can't help you, or I don't know what to do. And I'm like, is it me? What is my problem? Why am I the weird one here? Nobody knows what to do when you're not smart in law school. Nobody knows what to do when you fail. When I got that really bad grade in legal writing, I cried. Like, let's lay the foundation of getting 1L grades is super stressful, because you get them probably about a week or two into your next semester. You don't get them over break. You get them in, you live with them, and then you have to apply for jobs with them, which, good luck. If they're good, you're good. If they're bad, like mine, good luck. That's all I can tell you, because honestly, I wouldn't even know what to say. But I got my grades, and my sister's wedding, it was the rehearsal dinner for my sister's wedding, and I got my first semester 1L grades, and they were pretty abysmal. And I was one of the co-maid of honors, because I was a maid of honor that didn't do anything. I was like maid of honor in name, because I was the sister. But because I was in law school, my sister's other maid of honor, who is one of her best friends from law school, ironically, kind of understood that I couldn't do anything because I was studying for law school. So, well, a lot of good that did me. Anyways, so I had to be happy, and it was really hard to be happy when my entire life was kind of crumbling down because I didn't do well, and it's a lot, law school's a lot of money, so not doing well has so many problems that you don't think of until you don't actually do well. Is it right for me? Did I make this right decision? And I'm sitting there at my sister's rehearsal dinner doing my best to not let my tears come out and be happy for my sister, because this was a huge day for her and I didn't want to ruin it. And I didn't want to tell her either, because I didn't want her to think that I was taking any attention off of her. And someone else told her, and she came up to me, whispered what her 1L grades were, and they were equal to mine, equally as bad. And I felt a lot better because she's really successful now. So sis, you're awesome. So yeah, law school doesn't prepare you for failure, and you won't ever be prepared for failure. There's no good way to prepare you for failure, but I feel like law school could at least try a little bit more, especially once you get out of 1L year, because 1L year, you're kind of in a security blanket. But if you do bad your second semester, then you're kind of screwed. I almost dropped out of law school after my 1L year. Congratulations, you guys are the first to know this, besides my family, because I didn't tell anyone because I was completely embarrassed. 1L year just wasn't going for me. I didn't make a mock trial or moot court team. I didn't make any of those teams, which stinks beyond belief. It's one of the worst feelings, because the way my school did Board of Advocates for teams specifically, that's a mock trial, moot court, is very political, and I didn't know that, and I didn't make a team. And to get a Board of Advocate, what is it? There's 2 awards you can get at graduation. One is Order of the Coif, and then Order of the Barristers. To get Order of the Barristers, you have to be on a competition team, because all Board of Advocates cares about really is how many times you competed. which I think is kind of archaic. But again, that doesn't even help set you up for failure, because I was essentially screwed over. And when I say that, I mean, because of how political the system is and how teams are picked, you always pick people from your team again to come in, and you supplement with new people. And most of the time, they only want 1L so they can train up 1Ls into their team. So if you're a 2L trying out and going into being a 3L, they don't really want you because they can't train you as long, and you're not going to be as useful to them as long. And that's not a fun feeling, to know that you're not wanted because either you're too old or you messed up your one audition one time. Like, that's not a fun feeling. You feel like you failed. I feel like I failed 1L year because nothing went my way. And for those wondering how I saved my grades, basically, but I don't know how it happened, because the way my school did study abroad, and this will be a video, is how I studied abroad in law school, but the way my school did study abroad was basically like a lottery system. Like, everybody put in their applications. We had till a date, and you could apply afterwards, but then it was like a waiting list with the people who didn't get in during that initial like lottery period. So I put in, and then I got chosen to go. To this day, I feel like the dean of students had something to do with me being able to go. But I was able to go study abroad and got the best grades I ever got in law school studying abroad. I know, weird. Usually it's like the opposite, but I got the best grades in law that I ever got in law school doing that. And when I realized, and that saved me, basically, like that was the reason why I continued on, was because someone had faith in me, which I think is really important. Is find if you're failing in law school, or you feel like you're failing, find someone, preferably not a student, who has faith in you, because I found the dean of students had a lot of faith in me, a lot more faith than I had in myself, and that helped me immensely, because students can only give you so much. They can only help you so much, especially if they're a student mentor. They're mentoring plenty of other kids, and students have a bit of a bias. That's just how it is. Like, one of my mentors I heard her helping one student more than she was helping me, and I felt really stupid because she was giving her all this stuff, and I was like, that's the stuff I need, but I don't want to straight up ask for it, which is probably my own fault. But at the same time, I'm like, why is she just offering it to this person? And I was like, oh, that's one of the top of the class people. But I found a faculty member, I found our dean of students, was so helpful to me and was essentially my cheerleader. Anytime I was feeling down, I knew I could go to this faculty, to the dean of students, and it helped me a lot. So if you feel like you're struggling in law school, find someone who is going to have that faith in you and who's going to take the time to listen to you and make you feel like you're validated and you're important, because that's what I did, and it truly did help me so much. Because at the end, like I've said multiple times throughout this video, law school doesn't prepare you for failure. Law school doesn't prepare you for not doing the best, because every bit of advice you get is on the assumption that you're going to succeed. And by the nature of how law school is, that's just not possible for every person to get the best grades, for every person to do the best. It's not possible. Law school does not make that possible, yet that's all the advice you're ever going to get. And like, the thing is, you have to listen to the advice because it is proven to work. Outline, do all that, but you have to quote Gabby Hanna in a bad way, manage your expectations. Okay, sorry, let me explain this. you have to think about it realistically. You have to know where you are. You have to know more about yourself than you want to know. You have to admit truths about yourself that you may not want to admit. My second semester, I had to admit that I was not going to do the best, but I had to do the best that I could do. And I got better grades my second 1L semester than I did my first. And because I aimed for doing the best that I could do, I did better throughout law school. I never was at the top of my class, but I also wasn't feeling like I was an absolute failure. So, what's the point of all this? Like, why did I make this video? And it's to give a realistic impression of a person who got all the advice, but it didn't really work. And to say that if you're not doing as well as you want to, that's okay. Because sometimes that's the best you can do. And where law school is concerned, the best you can do is the best you can do. Because the thing about law school is it's not how the real legal practice is going to be. It's not how the legal world is. You like your 1L memos and your 1L briefs, your legal writing, your 1L year, you're probably not allowed to have any help on it. The first memo I ever wrote that was for an actual thing in a business, not a business, but like in the legal world that like had weight, that was going to be spread around to people. I had so much help writing this memo. It's crazy. And the fact that you're not allowed to have any help, it's just like, why are you setting me up with this weird view of how legal writing is when that's not really how it is at all? And I get it's to help you learn to write other things, but at the same time, I'm like, you get help along the way, every step of the way in the real world. So that's something to keep in mind. Law school is a bubble, and it's kind of an unrealistic bubble. Like, it's like a bubble that you know is never gonna pop until you leave the bubble, and like you leave the bubble and it still doesn't pop, and then you come back in, and that's the best like visual I can think of, is the bubble never pops because law school is always going to be how it is. But there's stuff outside that is better. So yeah, law school doesn't prepare you for doing bad. It doesn't prepare you for failure, but you can still get through it. You can still come out on the other end and get a JD, because at the end of the day, if you graduate with everybody else, you get a JD. Like, here's the thing about all the special honors, which are 2. No one asks about those. Like, you can put them on your resume. No one, in my opinion, I don't see anybody really caring, because if you're a competent lawyer, that'll come through in your work and what you've done, rather than 3 words on your resume. So yeah, that's what I got for you today. If you have any questions, if you want me to explain anything a bit better, comment down below. If you like what you see, you can subscribe, ring the bell icon. You can like the video. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions and you don't want to like comment them, DM me on Twitter, Instagram. I don't know how this stuff works. So yeah, if you have any questions that you want me to explain it a little bit better, sometimes I just kind of word vomit, which is kind of what I did right now. Sorry. But yeah, law school doesn't prepare you for failure, but that doesn't mean that you are a failure. All right? That's what I want to say at the end. You're not a failure just because your grades aren't the best, or just because you're not doing as well as your best friend. No one in law school is a failure. Bye.